It is the morning after the World Cup final, and you are lying in bed staring at the ceiling like somebody just broke up with you. Your phone is still open to the match thread. Your snack table from last night looks like a crime scene, and the TV is on, but there is nothing there, just some random rerun of a cooking show where a man is aggressively whisking eggs. You have no idea why you feel this sad. Nobody in your life has died. Nothing bad has happened to you personally, and yet there is a hole in your chest the size of a regulation FIFA football. Welcome to post-World Cup depression. It is extremely real, and today we are going to talk about why millions of people around the planet are all experiencing the exact same unexplainable emotional collapse right now. But here is the twist. This is not actually about football. This is about what happens when the entire human race shares one experience for a month straight and then somebody just pulls the plug overnight. Stick around because by the end of this, you are going to understand your own brain a little better and also feel slightly less insane for crying over a sport you might not have even cared about 6 weeks ago. Post-World Cup depression is real. Okay, let us rewind to yesterday, because before we get into the emotional science of why you feel like a deflated balloon right now, we need to talk about what actually happened on that pitch. Because honestly, the final alone was enough to emotionally destroy any functioning human being. The final, Spain versus Argentina. Two footballing giants, one trophy, 90 minutes of regulation, and somehow the score is still locked at 0-0. Neither team can break through. The defenses are suffocating. Every chance that comes close gets snuffed out at the last possible second. Your heart rate has not dipped below 120 since kickoff. You have screamed at your television 14 times and your neighbor has knocked on the wall twice. And then we go to extra time. Extra time. Now things get truly chaotic. Spain think they have scored. The ball hits the net, the stadium erupts, half the planet leaps off their couch. But wait, the referee is putting his hand to his ear. VAR review. The goal is disallowed, offside by what looked like half a toenail. Spanish fans are absolutely losing their minds. Argentine fans are clutching their chests in relief. The internet immediately splits into two factions and starts a war that is probably still going on right now as you watch this. The red card. Then everything shifts. Deep into extra time, Enzo Fernandez picks up a second yellow card. The referee reaches into his pocket and pulls out the red. Argentina are now down to 10 men in extra time of a World Cup final. The air leaves the stadium. You can feel it through the screen. 10 men against Spain in the biggest match on earth. It is genuinely hard to breathe. The goal. And then it happens. Early in the second half of extra time, Ferran Torres finds space. The ball falls to him and he does not hesitate. One strike, back of the net. Spain take the lead 1-0 and the stadium fractures into two completely different realities. Half the crowd is experiencing the single greatest moment of their lives. The other half is watching their dream die in real time. That is it. That is how the 2026 World Cup ends. Spain are champions of the world, and roughly 4 billion people simultaneously do not know what to do with their hands. But here is the thing that made this final different from almost any other sporting event in history. It was not just a football match, the halftime show, because sandwiched right in the middle of this game was one of the most absurd entertainment crossovers the world has ever seen. Shakira took that stage and reminded the planet that hips have never once in recorded history told a lie. BTS showed up and essentially caused a small earthquake from the sheer volume of screaming. Justin Bieber was there doing Justin Bieber things, and holding the entire thing together like some kind of British musical glue was Chris Martin from Coldplay singing while confetti rained down on a football pitch. It was a concert, it was a sporting event, it was a cultural moment that people in 211 countries were watching simultaneously. Your uncle who does not know a single BTS member by name was watching this. Your grandmother who thinks football is too aggressive was watching this. A kid in a village with one shared television was watching this. That is the thing people keep missing when they talk about the World Cup. It is not a tournament, it is a 4-week global campfire, the debates that made it unforgettable. And you cannot talk about this final without talking about the controversy. That disallowed Spain goal is going to be debated for years, possibly decades. The VAR reviews had people pausing their screens and drawing lines on their televisions with dry erase markers, like amateur forensic analysts. Was it offside? Was the angle wrong? Did the technology fail? Nobody agrees. And honestly, that is what makes it beautiful, because the controversy gave us something to argue about together. Think about your group chats right now. Think about the replies under every football account on social media. People from completely different countries who have never met and will never meet are passionately screaming at each other about a line on a screen. And weirdly, that is a form of connection. The debates did not ruin the final. The debates extended it. They gave us a reason to keep talking to each other even after the whistle blew. And that matters more than most people realize. IT was never just a game. Now let us zoom out, because here is where this gets interesting. For the last month, you had a reason to wake up excited almost every single day. There was always a match, there was always a storyline, there was always a team you were rooting for or against. Your daily schedule had a rhythm to it that revolved around kickoff times. You planned your meals around games. You rearranged your work schedule around games. You turned down social invitations because, quote, there is a match on tonight and I am not missing it. For 4 straight weeks, your brain had a reliable source of excitement, anticipation, and emotional payoff delivered on a near daily basis. You had heroes and villains. You had underdogs making miracle runs. You had last-minute goals that made you feel more alive than anything in your actual regular life has made you feel in months. And then yesterday, it ended. The void. Today, there is no match. Tomorrow, there is no match. The day after that, there is no match. Your brain got used to a dopamine cycle that was fed every single day, and now that cycle has been completely cut off. This is not a metaphor. This is actual neurochemistry. When you anticipate something exciting, your brain releases dopamine. Not when the exciting thing happens, when you anticipate it. The build-up to each match was flooding your brain with feel-good chemicals for weeks, and now there is nothing to anticipate. Your brain is sitting there like a kid who was told Christmas is happening every day, and then one morning, somebody just cancels Christmas forever. Of course you feel empty. Your neurochemistry literally changed over the past month, and now it is trying to readjust to a world where the most exciting thing happening tomorrow is a staff meeting at 2:30. Why it hits different, but it is not just the dopamine. There is something deeper going on. The World Cup is one of the last remaining events on Earth that genuinely unites the entire planet at the same time. Think about that for a second. We live in an age where everybody is algorithmically sorted into their own little content bubble. Your feed looks nothing like your best friend's feed. You watch different shows, you listen to different music, you consume entirely different versions of reality. But for 1 month every 4 years, all of that dissolves. A taxi driver in Cairo is watching the same match as a college student in Tokyo, as a grandmother in Buenos Aires, as a software engineer in Toronto. The same moments, the same goals, the same heartbreaks, at the exact same time. When Ferran Torres scored yesterday, an estimated 2 billion people reacted to the same event within the same second. 2 billion simultaneous emotional responses. When does that ever happen? It almost never happens. The World Cup is one of the last global campfires we have, a moment where the entire species sits down together and pays attention to the same thing. And yesterday, that campfire went out. The science of shared experience. There is actually research on this. Psychologists have studied what happens when large groups of people share an intense emotional experience simultaneously. It creates something called collective effervescence. That is a real term coined by sociologist Emil Durkheim over 100 years ago. It describes the heightened sense of energy and connection that humans feel when they participate in a group experience. Religious ceremonies produce it, music festivals produce it, and massive global sporting events absolutely produce it. For 4 weeks, you were part of something bigger than yourself. You were not just watching football, you were participating in a shared human ritual with billions of other people. Your emotions were synchronized with strangers across the planet, and that kind of connection is profoundly satisfying to the human brain because we evolved as social creatures who survived by being part of a group. The World Cup taps into something ancient in us, that same instinct that once had our ancestors gathering around a fire telling stories together, except now the fire is a television screen, and the story is whether or not a Spanish forward can beat an Argentine goalkeeper from 12 yards. What now? So what do you do with this feeling? Well, first, you should know that it will pass. Your brain will recalibrate. Within a week or two, your dopamine cycles will normalize, and you will stop instinctively checking for match schedules every morning. You will find new things to look forward to. Life will fill the gap eventually. But here is what I want you to sit with for a moment. The fact that you feel empty right now is actually evidence of something beautiful. It means you are capable of being moved by a shared human experience. It means your brain still responds to collective joy and collective heartbreak. It means that despite all the algorithms and all the division and all the noise in the modern world, you can still connect with billions of strangers over something as simple as a ball going into a net. That is not weakness. That is one of the best things about being a person. The tournament that changed things. This World Cup was hosted across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. 3 countries, 16 cities, dozens of cultures represented not just on the pitch, but in the stands and in the streets around every stadium. We saw fans from Senegal dancing with fans from South Korea. We saw Mexican supporters sharing food with Japanese supporters. We saw people who could not speak the same language high-fiving after a goal because they did not need words. The tournament was not perfect. No tournament ever is. The VAR decisions were controversial. Some of the scheduling was chaotic. The debates about refereeing will rage on for months, but none of that erases the fact that for 1 month the world felt slightly smaller and slightly more connected than it usually does, and losing that feeling overnight is genuinely disorienting. The countdown begins, so here is the bad news. The next World Cup is in 2030. That is roughly 1,461 days from right now, give or take. That is a lot of days without this particular feeling. But the good news is you now understand why you feel the way you feel. You are not being dramatic. You are not being silly. You are experiencing a completely normal neurological and psychological response to the sudden removal of a massive shared emotional experience. You are basically going through withdrawal from the greatest show on earth, and so is everyone else. So do me a favor, drop a comment below and tell me your single favorite moment from this entire World Cup. Not just the final, the whole tournament. Was it a goal? Was it an upset? Was it Shakira at halftime? Was it watching your country play for the first time in years? I genuinely want to know, because even though the matches are over, we can still keep that campfire going a little bit longer right here in this comment section. Like this video if you are currently in the bargaining stage of World Cup grief. Subscribe if you want more content that explains why your brain does weird things, and I will see you in the next one. Only 1,461 days to go. We got this, probably.